Indie Mogul.
This episode of Indie Mogul is brought to you by A Nightmare on Elm Street, in theaters April 30th. Hello everyone and welcome to a special episode of Backyard Effects. This week we're being sponsored by A Nightmare on Elm Street and we'll show you how to create a highly detailed reproduction of Freddy Krueger's clawed glove. Don't fall asleep. To honor the reboot of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, today we're going to show you how to create Freddy Krueger's blade gloves. Then in a special second build episode coming out tomorrow, we're going to show you how to recreate Freddy's burnt up skin. But first, the glove. This effect has been requested by the Muffin Man, Michael Ferguson, John, Trevdog, Guild Wars Geek, and Deadeye 280. But before we get started, here's Gary to spin the wheel. A 1x1 sheet of 22 gauge steel or copper, 4 plastic lettuce knives, a leather glove, some old pipes with an elbow joint, 15 brass double cap rivets, and a can of silver spray paint.
Simple time lapse, woo!
The original Freddy glove consists of 5 main parts: the glove itself, the back plate, the main finger pieces, the fingertips, and the blades. We're gonna make our back plate and finger pieces out of a small sheet of 22 gauge steel. The basic shapes of each of these parts before we bend them will look like this. To save time when cutting your metal and see how everything fits together, you can first sketch and cut out your pieces from a manila envelope. Once you've perfected your templates in paper, you can trace them onto your metal sheet. Just make sure and make your pinky pieces a little bit smaller than the other fingers. Now comes the not so fun task of cutting out all your pieces. Use a pair of tin snips to cut out the basic shapes. Then go in with a rotary tool and metal file to clean up all the edges. Now you should have 9 metal pieces that look like so and are ready to be bent. Let's start with the main finger section. Take a 3/4 inch pipe or a broom handle and bend the pieces around it like so. To help bend your metal into shape, try using a rubber hammer. When you're done and your piece looks like this, repeat for the other 3 pieces. Next, take your fingertip piece and using a similar technique, but a slightly narrower pipe, shape the metal like so. Finish up by rounding out the tips on an elbow joint with a rubber hammer like so. At this stage, I decided to distress all my metal. This is totally optional, but if you want, you can use a benzene torch like I did and distress the crap out of it. Now we need to connect all the metal pieces together. So you'll need to drill some holes and find some double cap rivets. Drill holes in the finger pieces where the joints meet, where the fingers attach to the back plate, and 3 holes to attach the back plate to the leather glove. Next, just rivet everything together using a table vise to set the rivets like so. Now you should have a pretty impressive looking metal gauntlet thingy. To add the pieces that will hold your fingers in place, cut some small strips from your metal sheet and hot glue them in place like so. Adding the leather glove is pretty self-explanatory, but I will point out that I use my torch and some scissors to distress the glove. But if you want to be more safe, you could use black paint instead of burning the glove. The last step was adding the claws themselves. I decided to make my blades out of plastic instead of metal because they would be safer and easier to shape. Very similar to how I made the Wolverine claws, I took my plastic lettuce knives, cut them out, and sanded them down. The final touches include painting the claws, hot gluing them on, then adding some final distressing paint. And just like that, you have yourself a scary, safe, and awesome Freddy glove. Well, that wraps up another awesome BFX build episode, but we are not done with Freddy Krueger yet. Make sure and tune in tomorrow where we have an exclusive second build episode where we are going to show you how to complete the Freddy package and create his burned up skin. And of course, check out the new film, A Nightmare on Elm Street, in theaters April 30th. When you're building your props, Beads of hot glue painted silver look a lot like sloppy welding.